What's up everybody and welcome to another game review. Today we're taking a look at The End Is Nigh, a new platformer from the maker of The Binding of Isaac and Super Meat Boy. Full disclaimer, this review is based on completing the first 4 worlds. I wish I could have completed the game first, but it's actually really difficult and I'm not the greatest when it comes to platformers. But if you've ever played any of those games that I just mentioned, then you'll be familiar with the dark humor of the developer Edmund McMillen. Both of his previous games were fantastic and have garnered loyal fans, but will he be able to hit the trifecta with The End Is Nigh? Let's find out.
Dear anybody reading this, I'm probably dead. That wouldn't be surprising, everybody else is. There was some kind of apocalypse, and all that was left was me. Well, most of me. All in all, hasn't been so bad. Till yesterday. My favorite game cartridge finally broke. I think I'm gonna go out and make a friend. I'll have to go out there. Outside. It's a dangerous, twisted place full of death, decay, and death mostly. And you know what? Imagine all the fun we'll have, me and my friend, Collecting tumors, spitting teeth for distance. Hey, if I do it right, repopulate the world. Won't be easy, but I have nothing left to lose. Except my other eye. Oh well, fuck it!
Right from the intro, you can tell this is an Edmund McMillen game. The self-aware dark humor is something that's always appreciated, and it's executed pretty well here. The intro flows well into the first stage, and as always, one of the first things you'll notice is the graphics. The End Is Nigh has a very simplistic art style and limits its use of color. Each world has its own color palette, but it's restricted to 2 or 3 shades of the same color. I personally enjoyed this simplistic approach, and it actually complements the apocalyptic theme pretty nicely, especially in the first world. Another thing you'll likely notice is the music. The End Is Nigh has a fantastic soundtrack. It's nothing super mind-blowing or new, but it's this heavy rock theme that's reminiscent of older arcade games, and it honestly doesn't get boring even though it loops over and over again. But just in case it does get stale for some people, each world does have its own theme, and they're all pretty decent. One thing that is often overlooked in games is the sound, and this game has some very satisfying sound effects. Being a super difficult platformer, dying is something that's gonna happen a lot, and the death sound is something I honestly haven't gotten tired of after dying literally thousands of times. It can be described as a squishy thud explosion that fits really well with the animation of Ash just getting split into hundreds of tiny little blobs. Of course, being a high difficulty platformer, the one thing that really matters the most is the gameplay, and boy did they get it right. Let's begin by talking about the controls. If you've ever played Super Meat Boy, then you'll know how great the controls feel. The End Is Nigh has a very similar control scheme. I'd say almost identical. Everything is super responsive and fluid, and the movement is really tight, allowing you to jump and move back and forth mid-air to dodge obstacles. One of the core mechanics of Super Meat Boy was the ability to slide down walls and hop off it. In this game, Ash has something similar. Rather than being able to slide off the walls itself, some walls have these hooks protruding out that you're able to grab onto. You can then lean towards a certain direction and actually launch yourself a good distance away. This adds a huge layer of complexity and strategy to the levels, and a lot of the times it's essential to finding secrets or collecting tumors, but more on that later. Overall, the controls are some of the best of any platformer I've played, and I have no complaints here. One of the core mechanics of the game that appear in every world is the moving buildings and walls. Fitting in with the post-apocalyptic theme, some buildings will begin to crumble the moment you touch them, and it creates a great sense of urgency and adds a lot of difficulty to the game. Honestly, many levels wouldn't be as hard if the buildings remained still, but the fact that you have a certain time limit after reaching a point in the level means that you're forced to keep moving forward or fall to your death. A fundamental element of platformers is timing, and this mechanic really highlights that. Another reoccurring mechanic is the disintegrating platforms. It's not something that's really new, but when you combine it with the falling buildings, it makes timing really crucial. These platforms disappear after about a second of you touching them. Sometimes you have to be really strategic about whether you should immediately jump off these disappearing platforms or wait the full second in order to time the next jump properly. I find trying to figure out the whole proper timing and jumping pattern to be super fun. There's also mechanics that are unique to each world, like springs buildings and monsters and even water levels. These all add to the game and it changes it enough to keep it fresh. In the Overflow world, for example, the game became drastically different due to how Ash moves in the water. You're always sinking, so you need to constantly keep tapping to either swim up or maintain an even level. The entire world felt kind of like they injected some Flappy Bird into it. But that's not all. They continue to build on mechanics by making the water polluted and restricting you on how long you can last underwater. The utilization of different mechanics is masterfully done. The level design of this game is definitely on point. It's innovative and intuitive. Yes, the levels are quite difficult, but it's not because you can't figure out what to do, it's because it requires very precise execution to get through certain obstacles. I actually found that certain levels can actually be really straightforward if your only goal is to get through the level. However, there's obviously more to the level than just getting to the other side. Tumors are collectibles in the game, and they actually do serve a purpose besides just bragging rights. After you collect a certain amount, you can unlock higher difficulty areas called the Future. These are similar to the dark world of Super Meat Boy, and they represent even more challenging levels. If you think the base game is too easy, then these future areas might be just what you're looking for. I couldn't even get through the first level of this area for the life of me, so if you've completed these areas, let me know down below how it was. Attempting to collect all the tumors will likely result in repeated deaths, and oftentimes it's actually impossible to go straight for the tumor. What I mean by this is that some tumors are only accessible if you start from the other side of the map after you've completed the level. What's interesting about this game is that you can return to the previous level immediately after you beat it. They're interconnected. But when you step into the next level, the previous one will reset. By using this level reset mechanic, you can actually bypass the state of the falling buildings and disintegrating platforms, which would otherwise make it impossible to reach some tumors. But it doesn't just stop there. In fact, the levels are connected in such a way that certain tumors require you to go into the next level and then return via a different path to the previous level. Certain platforms that seem unreachable in one level can be reached by using a different pathway in the next level. The first time I realized this, I was floored. It was like finding one of the greatest secrets of the game. But of course, that isn't the only secret the game has to offer. The game is filled to the brim with secrets, and if you pay attention during the levels, you might just notice something out of place. And I can assure you that everything is there for a reason. If it's obvious enough for you to notice, then there's definitely something there. I won't go into too much detail about the secrets, but I will talk about a specific one as an example. The game begins with Ash's game cartridge breaking, thus forcing him to go out into the world to find a friend. But you can also find game cartridges in secret locations throughout the different levels. Once obtained, these cartridges can be loaded back in Ash's home, and they enable these new minigames. The minigames are basically 8-bit versions of the End Is Nigh, and there's over 20 of them to collect and play. With all these positive things about the game, there are definitely some things that can be improved, and one of the more annoying things about the game is the lack of a level selector. For games like this, ones filled with collectibles and secrets, players don't always try to find everything on their first run through, or they might simply just miss things as they're completing each level. Unfortunately, once you've gone past the level, there's no way to get back there directly. The only way is to teleport to the beginning of the world and run through each level again until you get to the one you want. Each world contains about 20 levels, so if you missed a tumor on level 15, you're forced to run through the first 14 levels again just to get back there. I'm not sure why they decided to leave this out, as many platformers, including Super Meat Boy, has a level selector implemented. The silver lining is, that's my biggest complaint about the game. Everything else I enjoyed, and I didn't find any major flaws during my playthroughs. A nice quality of life addition would be to show a death counter on the screen as you're playing. However, there is one available when you're selecting your file in the beginning of the game. The End Is Nigh is, in my opinion, one of the best platformers to come out in the past few years. It's well polished, blends the theme with the music and visuals wonderfully, and honestly is just really fun to play. So who is this game for? If you're a fan of any of Edmund McMillen's previous titles, you should give this a try. If you're someone who's into the platformer genre at all, you should definitely give this game a try. But if you're someone who gets frustrated easily and you're not really into the really difficult games, then I'd take a pass on this one. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and if you liked my review, please consider subscribing and giving me a thumbs up, as it really helps me grow my channel. I'm also currently running a Fortnite giveaway, and you can click on the card on the screen for details. The contest will last about 24 hours after this video has been uploaded. That's it for me, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.